Right, everybody, before we start, I want to check something, right? This cover, as you know, the pages are 5 inches square with a 1.5 inch spine, because I reduced it, didn't I? So I cut it at 2 inches, and I don't ever make a pin cushion with beads on, I'm telling you. I'm trying to get pins out of here and it drives me mad. Right, so 5 inches square the pages with a 1.5 inch spine. The cover I decided to make 6 inches square, and I didn't really think about the spine. I just measured the cloth big enough to cover what was happening already with the pages. But now I'm wondering if the spine is bigger. I mean, it's going to be taller, isn't it, because it's 6 inches. But does that mean the width has to be bigger? So what I'm going to do is pin this one and see, this is the cover that I've just... This is the cover. So if I just pin it roughly, so this will be 6 inches high by a 2 inch spine as opposed to 5 inches high with a 1.5 inch spine. What my dilemma is, does my spine need to be the same width as the spine of the pages? Will it be silly if it's bigger than the pages? So the only way to discover that is to pin it and see. So very roughly pinned. Now this class is going to go on at least another week because I can't stitch fast enough. And I've got big plans for the design sheet, the garment thing. So right, so these are all my pages. I don't know what order they're going to go in yet. I've done all the things on the edges, all the buttonhole loops. So if I just put them together roughly, it's the wrong way around, like that. So the cover, so the spine, it's got to be 6 inches tall, but does it have to be 2 inches wide, or can it be 1.5 inches wide? I think I can't fold it because of that pin. Pin it's that one. Right, so I think the spine can be the same width. What do you think? So the spine needs to be 1.5 inches, but the fact that it's only going to be 1/2 inch bigger top and bottom, I think that'll be fine. Yeah, do you think? It's just that came to me this morning when I was measuring, because don't forget we've got the lining to do with the front cover as well. That's actually upside down. Oh, do you know? Silly woman. So yeah, the lining, which I'm going to talk about in a second, it never ends. When you start to embroider something, you probably gathered, it never ends. There's always more. There's always more you can embellish, more space to put stitch on. That's the right way around. Right, so that's how it'll be. So I don't think that 1/2 inch top and bottom is going to matter, do you? I do like that. And don't forget this will be thicker because it's got to be lined, and then I'm going to do the back. So hence why we're going to be carrying on after the event. So maybe I should write that down for you to clarify, because I know how easy it is for me to confuse you. Totally my fault for being an airhead, even though I've never been blonde in my life. No offence to any blondes in the class, going with stereotypes. Right, so the pages, finished, this is finished after the hemmed and everything. That's not a square, I know. So that's 5 inches square, and that's 1.5 inch spine. The cover, and that's 5 inches tall, is 6 inches tall by 1.5. And 6 inches, okay. So that means the front and back cover will be the same. So pages, cover. Alright, I hope that makes sense. Right, so the cover. Now then, as you probably know, I've been working on another piece of cloth that's been inspired by embroidery school. And here it is, I have it here. My stomach's rumbling. So this has been me playing with my favourite stitches from embroidery school. So what I'm thinking now is the cover so far has this, but what do I love on here that's going on here to add to this cover? I've just realised I haven't hemmed around my outside, have I? Around my lines. I'm just going to have to finger press for now. So, and what I love that's going on this cloth, I will show you in a second. Get these pins out. Just finger press there, and finger press at the bottom, because that's all I need for today. Right, so, oops. What I absolutely love, where is it? Oh, it wasn't on there. No, it wasn't on there. Sorry, it's in here. This. Lazy Daisy. The reverse of the Lazy Daisy page. And it's a strip of that stuff with just Lazy Daisies on one edge with sequins in between. And then underneath you can see a clump of French knots with 3 Lazy Daisies coming out. So I want to do that on the cover. But from that was born, this is why I've got this cloth. From that was born, let me find it, there's so much going on here. This, it's a similar thing. Okay, so it's just stab stitched together at the top through the lace, and then clumps of French knots with dangly sequins. Okay. So I'm going to do one of those things on the front cover. Either that one, I like that one, maybe I could do them both. Maybe I could combine that with that. Maybe at that point, instead of having the sequins there, maybe at this point I could have a dangly sequin coming out of the middle of those French knots. What do you think? I think that's what I'm going to do. So if I pin that on there today, and there's so many lovely things going on here, like this up here, this is a proper sampler cloth. So they won't stay down, stay down, stay down. So that's just a simple applique with silk, half edged with turkey work, 2 rows of chain stitch, not magic chain, just chain stitch, and 3 dangly things with sequins on the bottom there. And then over here, a little bit of cut work that's edged with turkey work, and it's got a stalk of bullion loops and French knots. And down here there's one that's fully covered, fully edged, sorry, with turkey work, and it's got magic chain stitch there. So I'm really using that book and this class to feed into this bit of cloth. Now I didn't know what to do with this bit of cloth. It is actually a wonderful reference and resource, a sampler of all these stitches. And I've decided I'm definitely not going to sell it because I can't bear to part with it. It's as simple as that. No other reason, I just can't bear to part with it, and it'll be a resource for years to come. But in terms of keeping it safe, if it was just a flat piece of cloth like that I needed to refer to every so often, there's a chance it's going to get creased. It's going to be hard to store it, is what I'm saying. So what I'm thinking is making it into a pouch for myself. And then I'll always have it, so it will probably fold something like that. So that would be one side of it. Okay. And that would be the other side. And all my references are still there, but it's something I could use every day. I'm thinking I've got a lot of these cards with bindings and tapes wrapped around them. I could keep them in there. So that's what I'm thinking. If you think that's a horrendous idea and a horrific idea, I'm a long way off getting to that point, so tell me. Or if you've got a better idea, then let me know. But that's where I'm thinking. That's what I'm thinking at the moment. That's where my head's going with that. So back to this front cover. So that's the top. So I need to put a bit of this on here, so that's not long enough. I kept that bit, it's an offcut. But I've ordered more, and here it is. It's actually coming off here. I need to separate it. It's too much of it. And put it on a different one as well. Oh, I have hemmed round there. I can see it now. Did I bring my stitch gauge? You know, I never. Oh, Karen. I thought I. Do you know? It was in my head to bring it, and I haven't brought it. So if that goes there to there, I've got my ruler not far away, so. Oops. If that goes there to there, it's too long. Can't even cut that as long as I need it. I don't want it too long, because I don't want it. It's quite hard to fold it over and stitch it into the seam because it's quite thick, because it's a double folded binding. Let me reach round and get my ruler. Turn it this way. Now I'm making these on Sunday. Sunday the 1st of April. April Fool's Day. I'm going to bring it a bit closer to here because I'm just going to stab stitch this side. I'm not going to work on this now because I've got something else to do with it for the lining of the cover, but you know what I'm going to do with it, and I'll explain to you again what I'm going to do with it. And then I'm just going to crack on and finish this cover inspired by what's going on in my stitch book, my pages that are yet to be put together. And do you know what? Because that moves, I'm going to do it from that end of the tape. So that's 1.5. So I'm just going to crack on. Why can't I see that stitch there? Right, that's alright, that says that's straight. So this will be finished inspired by the pages of this book and that other sheet I've been working on. That other panel of cloth. What the heck is going on here, Karen? Why can't you even pin a bit of fabric? Put one in the middle. And then check it. The thing is, it distorts it, doesn't it, when you get a pin in? As soon as you get a pin in, you're distorted. That's not straight, is it? You're back in a loser straight away. It's 1/8 of an inch. And I guess because this tape's bias, does that mean it's got a natural curve? I'm guessing it does. Well, a natural tendency to curve anyway. That's better. Right, so what I'm going to do with this, honestly, yeah, I think that's straight. It'll be better when it's pinned because we all know when it's basted, because we all know what pins do to this. Yeah, I think that's alright now. So it's going to be stab stitched down that side, and then this side you're going to have clumps of French knots. Where's that page? Right. With like bunny ears coming out of the French knots and a sequin coming out the middle of the French knots. I'm just going to pull the camera on. Alright, does that make sense? So So that's what I'm going to do with that. And then, in terms of other patterning on there, again, get this big cloth back. I actually like, I don't really want, I do love, where's that one gone? Where have you gone? Where have you gone? This one. Love it, absolutely love it. But I think there's enough of that going on with there. So I'm thinking random things. So I'm thinking maybe just clumps of French knots with these Swarovski crystals in them. And some maybe with these lovely shell things in them for the rest of the cover. Alright. So that's what I'll be doing. Now the lining of the front, I've got that marked out here already. And I've got 2 lines marked on the back because I'm thinking, I've got no reference. I know I could write on my labels. I need to get all my pages back. I know I could write on my labels, and I did start to write on my labels what thread I'd used for these samples. But because it's for me personally, if it was something I was selling, like a published book, I would need to be dead precise and say like, page 1 Lazy Daisy worked in DMC Cotton Abroad 16 colour 947, but because this is for me I don't need to do that, but I do want to have some kind of reference in there to the threads I've used. So I'm going to count how many thread colours I've used. There's 2 on there, 3, 4, 4, sorry, that's the orange, 5 with the white, 1 with the blue, so that's 6. White in that one that's 7, using that one. That's the orange and the pink, so I don't need to count them. That's a different one. 8, and the white's I already counted that. It's white on there, so I don't need to count that, so it's 8. This one, like a lilac, is 9. That's another one, that's 10. 11 with that lilac. It doesn't have to be precise, I'm just trying to get an idea. I think that green, that's 12. I've already counted those 2 and the white. Counted the green, so counted those 2, so that's 12. That's white again. White, counted the pinks, that's 12. White again, counted that. Not sure about that one, so I'll say 13. I know I've done that one. Yeah, so 13 minimum. So what I've done and what I'm thinking is, I'm just going to get some Gutterman. So this is again the same size as the front cover. It's 6 inches square. And the spine will be 1.5 inches by 6 inches. So exactly the same as that front cover I've just shown you. When it's, all the markings are anyway, and it's got these 2 lines up the back. And there's a reason for those, that I will share with you shortly. So I just want to base these 2 lines at the back. I've put as well, that's a T and a B top and bottom, because I get them upside down. If I'm not careful, I'll do it all upside down. So it's better to be safe than sorry. So, and these are probably too evenly spaced for me. They're probably too central. In fact, they are central, and that's, as you know, didn't think it through properly. I was being smart, Alec, and put the first line off centre without thinking, well, you need a second line. So it ended up they were both central, but never mind. Scissors. So I'm going to be back next Friday again, and from that we'll see how many times I need to come back, or if I do need to come back. I'm sure I will. I mean, my visitors aren't coming till Thursday, but I've got such a lot of prep to do before they come, and I've got problems with one of the wheels on my car, so I've got to get that sorted out and before they come, because I'm taking them up to Scotland to see granddad and I'm taking them to my mother's, and so I need my car to be sorted out. So I'm going to be and I'm going to be missing in action. I don't think I'll be blogging on Friday, or I might make it Saturday, Sunday, but it depends. I'm just going to have to turn off. My son's here. Sorry about that. He left his car here last night. Him and his young lady friend came to watch. There was a big boxing match on. Late. I can hardly keep my eyes open. And they came to watch it here. So he left his car. I took them home because they'd had a drink. Right. So now I've got these. I've got my 6-inch marking. So what I'm thinking of doing, just let me put this needle away. Need 13, don't I? 13 colours. I'm going to do a web stitch in every colour in here as a reference. Where's that? Oh, here. So I need at least 13 marks to do them, and then I'm going to either have to write next to them what they are, which you know I won't want to do. I still can't find my labels, or buy some more labels and tie a label next to each one saying what they are, and I think that might look quite nice having this over presence of labels. So I've got my grids here, and I'm just, because I want them quite far apart, not massively far apart, but quite far apart. So if I lay this one on here, that's at the top. I don't want the first one too near the top. So I mean, and I can always add lines as well. So 1 there, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That might be a bit near the bottom, that one, so I'll leave that at 8. Alright. So now then, yeah, it's at the top, you can see that line in there. So that's 8. And go back to this one. So I'm on my second line here. Just making sure it's straight and that it's level with the other one. So that's 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, and I only need 13. But what I might do as well as I progress, so if I do 13 web stitches, a web stitch in each colour that I've used in my sample book, then I've got about, well, there'll be 3 things left, won't there? I could put another line here and use the 3 spaces at the bottom of here and this line here and put a sequin that I've used just as a reference on there as well. What do you think? I think it'll be marvellous. So the first thing, I'm just going to do a web stitch with you today, the first one on here, so you can get a sense. So every colour that I've used in this book will have a reference of a web stitch on the inside front cover. And a ledger is a record, so there you go. It might not be the best record, the most scientific record, with the most information you could ever have in it, but because it's for my own personal use, that doesn't matter. Like I say, if it was for a published book, then obviously it would have to be, all the I's would have to be dotted, all the T's would have to be crossed. But because we're mostly, I would imagine, making these for ourselves, those things aren't as relevant. The most important thing about these little books is that we like them, that we're happy with them, that we love them, and that they will provide us with some kind of reference and information in the future. So, you know, don't beat yourself up about that, because I certainly don't. And when I'm dead, when I pop my clogs, if somebody can't figure it out, well, I can't worry about that, can I? They'll all be in a class somewhere. There'll be somebody making a video somewhere in a cupboard in a different country saying, this woman was appalling, she never kept any records, look at this, it's useless information. I don't know how she ever made any money doing this. I don't know what she was thinking. Why did people even bother coming? Well, there you go. So if I have my dot as the middle of my web stitch, don't want them too big. So I've crossed over that dot I've just made. So that is the centre of my web stitch. Okay. So if you can imagine all these little web stitches down here and then those labels tied at the side of them. I need to go into town this week because I've got birthdays coming up. I need to get cards and stuff. So I'm going to go in the stationers and see if I can get some more labels. And I'm going to staple them to my arm so I don't lose them. No, I'm only kidding, but you know what I mean. I'll put them somewhere safe. That's what I did with the other ones. And I'll never be able to find them again. So if I do this web stitch, and then I'll be doing them all like this, and this will be the inside cover, and it really excites me. It excites me greatly, and it doesn't matter that I'm web stitching over that Gutterman, because it will pull out. And if it doesn't pull out, it'll cut off at the edge, and it won't be visible anyway. So, well, I could probably take it out now, actually, my dots are there, couldn't I? I never thought of that. Yeah, don't need it now, I've got my dots. So this is what I'm doing. Now you could do this, you could do it with French knots, you could do it with a bullion knot, you could do it with any stitch you want. But I am greatly excited by it. I think it'll be amazing. Now how much of this I'll get done before you get these videos, I don't know. I've got such a hectic week, if I think about it too much, my brain would start fizzing and exploding. There's so much to do this week. But it's my own fault. And anyway, I thrive on pressure. So that's the first one. I'm just thinking, I can see they're pin marks, aren't they? That's what I can see there. From where I've come through the lead on the other side. A bit confusing that. Up there. So just let me know what you think of that, and please let me know what you think about the idea to turn my big panel into a pouch. I mean, nothing would make me happier. Maybe I could keep it and store it flat, not make it into a pouch, just back it, titivate the edges, and store it flat. Make a little, like, simple folder with 2 big pieces of board to keep it in. But then where am I going to keep that? You know, that's the dilemma. So there, that's the first one done. So I've got another 12 to do with the colours. And I've got labels to buy. So there. So can you imagine how that's going to look all down there? Right, so that's the book. That's the plans for the book, progress on the book, ideas for the book, and I haven't even started to think about the back cover yet, so I really need to get a shift on. Part of my problem is, and I talk about it in my podcast, well, if you listen to my podcast, is trying to feed my public blog at the same time as progressing things for class, because I really don't ever want them to see things before you do. But that's an issue for me to worry about, not you. So I hope you like those ideas and everything's coming along swimmingly. Okay.